This is Karl-James Langford in sunny Kirkwall, Orkney, and this is the Archaeology of Pirates from my classes recorded in South Wales. Just going to look at the slides, and if anyone would like to subscribe to my channel, please do. Be very grateful if you did. Now, these slides are going to be quick and fast. The first slide is the wonderful pirate Edward Teach. The place that we're going to look at a little bit today is the Money Pit. And the Money Pit itself is off Oak Island, and it's a pit that has cost many, many lives. The wonderful thing about this pit, it's still the focus of research today. And one or two things are being found, never the millions of pounds that were meant to have been reported to be hidden there maybe 200, 300, 400, 500 years ago, whatever. But this is a wonderful site for exploration. Anyway, the next person we're going to look at is Black Sam Bellamy, the most successful pirate in history. We've also found the shipwreck of shipwrecks associated with Captain Morgan in the Mediterranean. The archaeology of piracy is a wonderful area of study. The archaeology of pirates is both inspirational and frightening in the way it's portrayed in the past and how it's portrayed today. It's been the nature of many narratives, Daniel Defoe, Robert Louis Stevenson, and it was looked at and written about to be of the time back in the 16th century. However, piracy is not a narrative. It's not just questions and myths from the past. It's actually real. It did occur. And piracy goes way, way back. And it stamps into fear into anybody back in the day who actually feared real pirates. And piracy is still around even in this modern day and age. And to do the archaeology of piracy was a daunting subject for me. Could I actually see actual archaeology in it? But the likes again of Daniel Defoe did see that what they were seeing around them could be placed into the narrative, and maybe Daniel Defoe and Robert Louis Stevenson actually wrote down more of a fanciful form of piracy, when in fact it could be much more blood-curdling than actually written down in the word. When we actually do look a bit deeper into this, the evidence, we know piracy is as old as sailing itself. The public today is used to the stories of the age-old sail buccaneers, but the earliest historical texts from maritime cultures are sprinkled with accounts of sea rovers capturing ships. Ancient cultures have been attacked for millennia by pirates roving. One of the Rome's greatest accomplishments was to rid the Mediterranean of pirates, a feat that earned Pompey the title the Great over his greatest challenger, Julius Caesar. The archaeology of piracy. How can we distinguish the remains of a pirate ship from a regular ship? After all, black flags, eye patches and peg legs don't survive well in the archaeological record. To begin, pirate archaeology is most commonly practiced in the historical domain of archaeologists, but actual practical archaeology is to be seen within the waters of the Mediterranean and elsewhere. Once you have evidence of a general location, you go for looking for potential sites. How do you work out the difference between a pirate ship and a regular merchant ship or a Royal Navy ship? Is what's to be found down there. One of the fathers of historical archaeology, Stanley South, came up with a handy method for determining differences between archaeological sites, between the pirate and the merchant vessel sites. He separated artifacts by functional category to figure out a culture's primary behaviours and what we simply mean by that. Look at Stonehenge. You expect to see the remains of anything other than settlement, anything other than people's homes. Look at The average Roman military site, you expect to see military archaeology, and you don't expect to see domestic archaeology. That's what's meant by cultural primary behavior. Pirate archaeologists have adopted this method and found that pirates have more weapons than a usual ship, and from a variety of sources, quality, manufacture, and age. Also, these sites have more international goods. You would expect to see on a Royal Navy vessel everything patented the same, but on a pirate vessel, every pirate would seem to have their own weapon and their own mold for the lead shot in them. The average Royal Navy vessel would have a tendency to have one set of shots, one set of powder. So that's basically the identification in Southampton University, for example, has a whole department looking at nautical archaeology, and one of its specialist subjects is the archaeology of piracy. Amazingly enough, so archaeology has come really up to date with looking at the various archaeologies underwater. The next wonderful image that we're going to actually look at is associated with a shipwreck regards to Blackbeard. It's known as Queen Anne's Revenge, and we've actually found the vessel off the North Carolina coast in the United States. Finding Captain Kidd's vessel, the Queen Anne's Revenge, Blackbeard, is the epitome of everything that is maritime archaeology looking at piracy. And coming to the stage that we're actually finding the likes of Captain Henry Morgan's vessels in regards to 5 members of his. Pirates are not just to be seen out at sea. Pirate sites are to be found on land, where they may have shacked up in the winter or maybe buried some of their goods, not necessarily gold. And this is one of those things we look for. Piracy, not just in the open seas, on rivers themselves, notably in the Mississippi Delta in the northern American states. In that, associated with pirates, is very rarely that we actually find anything associated with pirate treasure. And back to the money pit at Oak Island, discovered in the summer of 1795. The money pit itself is very much an enigma of everything that is pirate treasure. It's been something that from the summer of 1795 being found by a group of school children, or school children as defined back in the day. It's been the focus of films and programs, and as I've said, people have lost their lives associated with it. Excavations have gone down over 200 feet with excavating the pit itself and drilling. There's been reports of large amounts of metal, iron being found there, remains of wooden chests. Looking at all the information in the background, the plans, there's sort of tunnels going off from it. You can see the depth there. They've augured way down, and as they've augured way down using drilling equipment, they reckon they found samples of chests. And look at this gap, this sort of huge chasm which opens up in front of you. It constantly gets flooded. People have drowned down there. People have witnessed collapsing, being gassed down there. And whether you think the money pit is a load of nonsense, it sort of stirs the imagination. And the people involved with still studying it, the money pit, have ploughed, it said, millions of pounds down it. Virtually chucking their money down a pit. And this is what we're going to see is a stone associated with 6 of those who have lost their lives down the money pit. And these are 6 of probably up to 100 people who have lost their lives searching for gold. It's unfortunate that people associate pirates with gold. When you think about it, the pirates would have equally have wished to get rid of their gold, because if they were captured, no doubt they would have lost their lives. Looking at the image of Black Sam, Black Sam's ship that went down off the coast of Cape Cod. And they've actually found his vessel now, which went down in 1717, the most successful pirate, the Windell Galley. The image of it today in front of you. This is actually a pirate ship that they've actually found doubloons. Gold and silver has been found lifted up from the great wastes of the waters off the coast of Cape Cod. Found up to 100 bodies buried on land, and as they're excavating the ship now, which was discovered in 1984, they do believe they've actually found the mortal remains of Black Sam Bellamy himself. The image coming up with is actually the ordnance. These would have been hand grenades thrown by those of his ship. It actually went down in a storm, not due to action. Black Bellamy was only in action for under 2 years, and he's said to have captured over 54 ships, and he was said to have been worth $130 million, which was a substantial sum back in the day. He was on board a legitimate Navy vessel at one point, but his ship went down on the April the 26th of 1717, and he went down as a pirate, an outlaw, an illegal pirate. There were legal pirates and illegal pirates. Captain Morgan was a legal pirate, and Black Sam Bellamy was an illegal pirate. When we think about all the investigations being undertaken in connection with this wonderful pirate, you can only say that being a successful pirate as he was, this is test. The next pirate we look at is the wonderful Captain Morgan. He lost 5 ships in 1671 off the coast of Panama. Even though he did actually, as a legal pirate for the British Navy, he is said to have actually captured the Spanish Main in Panama, and brought it into and all the treasures and golds into the crown of our very wonderful land of the British Crown. So the ship being found, being dived upon in 2010. The next pirate that we're going to actually look at is the very, very notable pirate for his cruelty, Blackbeard. Finding the remains of Blackbeard's ship would be a great scandal if they actually got the location wrong, but by about 2017, the ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, that ran aground in 1718, is now seen to be the actual ship of Blackbeard. There's been whole expeditions associated with the Queen's Anne's Revenge, and as you'd be reading the text in the background, now to know about, in conclusion with this today, that we've got the ship of Black Bellamy, we've got one of the ships of Captain Blackbeard, we've got the ship of Captain Henry Morgan. These pirates actually come real, and they actually become real, and pirates are not to be seen in myths and legends of Daniel Defoe. That they're to be seen as an archaeological science, as the piracy that is the archaeology of piracy itself. Thank you. Thanks for listening and watching. This has been a new way of putting a video together. There's been some notches and problems, and thank you very much for bearing with me. Cheers.